The dossier, I want to be clear, was put out because of this gentleman. Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani, probably the staunchest and most upright of leaders that this region has seen, I would say, standing on his conviction, died. A 90-plus-year-old man's burial was not allowed. The body was snatched. He was wrapped in a Pakistani flag by his family. There were charges brought upon them and FIRs registered by the police for doing that. This is a country that says everything is under control in Kashmir, all is settled, democracy is back. A 90-plus-year-old man's dead body was too much for them to allow their families to have the last rites. There are testimonies of 1,700 plus victims since 2014 included in the dossier. Please look at it. Here are the mass graves since 1990, 8,652, some of them having up to 17 bodies, unearthed not by me, but by the sources and the reports which you can read in the dossier yourself. These are the ways they're tortured. Please look at Western law and tell me which ones of these anybody is willing to live with. Electrocution, burnings, rolling over, which frankly I had to ask my team what that really means, and I don't want to go there. I don't think I can bear it. Cut and slit bodies, all of these verified with sources. 31 different forms of torture. Chemical weapons, you know, are outlawed globally. India is a signatory. We are not here to say this is what they used or that is what they used. All we are saying is all these pictures match up with use of chemical weapons. There need to be international investigations whether this happened or not. At the very least, get the watchdogs to go and see what has happened. There's a lot said about pellet guns and the use of pellet guns. It hasn't reached a global convention stage, but if you look at all international law experts, all opinions, even the OIC's Independent Human Rights Commission commissioned a study, I know, that this is inhumane in terms of its use. Kids as young as 2 years of age have suffered pellet gun wounds or have died in the process. It's for all countries to decide what relationship they want to have with any other country. But the fact that people don't accept that from the very top, this is being directed. I've just shown you in the last dossier we put out, in the Prime Minister's office is a cell where in the initial tranche, $500 million were put to undermine CPEC. And then just towards the end, cluster munitions, another thing that you can go and look at international law and see what they say. Ample evidence, Indian origin, clearly being used in illegally occupied territory. Contrary to what the Indian media, which I've shown you the amount of truth that they're speaking these days, that Pakistan is diverting. Pakistan wants the attention focused on Afghanistan, but Pakistan has never taken attention off IIOJK. And this dossier is a tribute to Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani. There's no question about that. There is a set pattern in Indian narrative. Anytime they get stuck in Kashmir, anytime they think that the world's focus is on them, the conversation about terrorism begins with one link or the other. You end up with violence, some attack somewhere, and suddenly there is a conversation about, oh my God, terrorism in Kashmir. Why? So that the conversation shifts away from human rights violations, from the movement that is in Kashmir to terrorism. And I'm sorry to say that the world essentially lumps it up, believes it again, and moves away from the real problem. If the world is going to do that again, I can assure you that India will feel emboldened to create this bogey again and create instability in this region. One almost wants to go and see where this is and what magic it has. It's called the Samba Tunnel, where every time this diversionary narrative is created by India, 2012, 14, 16, 17, 18, 20, in Indian media, if not officially, this Samba Tunnel is mentioned, or there are terrorists coming from this tunnel. What I want to ask is, if there is a tunnel that you know of for 9 years, why haven't you bothered and gone and closed down the tunnel? I mean, it's mind-boggling. Somebody is cutting, copying and pasting in a document the same name, the same tunnel for 9 years. And nobody is willing to question this. The other thing I'll tell you is, mark the figure 300. Repeatedly you will find 300 terrorists have come. 300 terrorists have come. So if you've got to create a conspiracy theory, a lie, at least make it logical.